Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. I greet you with the love and honor that you deserve and with all the blessings from the Creator. So, welcome to this Monday evening, late night, 11:39, almost 11:40 in at p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. I've been out doing the moon check. Thank goodness the clouds are gone now and I can get a really accurate read on it. And I am proud to say that after a week since I did this last report, roughly, that ET said they fixed the moon. And it's like, well, how do I know that anything is going on that is the moon has the moon been fixed? Well, let me tell you, the moon is where it's supposed to be. The last few days, the moon is where it's supposed to be. Now, I haven't been able to check the stars and the planets until we lost the cloud cover down here in South Georgia. And it finally cleared off so I could make a couple of other observations to see how our Earth wobble's doing in comparison to the moon. Now, as I've been, complaining about for the last 2 years or so that, the Earth is really wobbling a lot and the moon sure is out of whack. And it's like, well, why would things, how do I put this? How do I prove to myself and to others, that the moon is in the right place? Well, just simply from my observations and me saying it wasn't where it was last week. Last week, it was way down in the southeastern sky when it rose, and it set down in the southwest. I did videos about it, and I said, I'm not supposed to be able to see the moon set through those windows right there. Well, guess what? It's the moon has been fixed by about, using my plastic compass here. Hang on a second. So using a degree chart here and a pie chart kind of deal, it's moved from about this red position to straight overhead now. And that right there is about 30 degrees. So last weekend, it was 30 degrees off from where it's been now for the last week. It's been consistent. Now, it's only been real spotty for me to be able to find where the moon has been. But every time I've gone out, even with the cloud cover, I could tell that the moon was overhead by the way the clouds were lit. Normally, the way it's been being over these last several months, if it was cloud cover, it wouldn't be lit very much overhead. It would always be towards the south. And so these observations, I'm like, well, there's the moon peeking out, full moon, pretty bright overhead. And so tonight, I'm here to tell you, it's coming up absolutely in the right place. Some friends stopped by and I was like, now, do you see that? We've had this conversation before. And they were like, yeah, you told us the moon's been coming up over there, Hawkeye. And I'm like, yeah, where's it coming up tonight? Right up my driveway, which is almost exactly due east. When I go up my driveway, it's on the map and all its coordinate positions for this property. It's due east, so it's exactly where it's supposed to be, and has been that way for a week. It's stable. Now I'm able to also give you that I saw Mars earlier this evening, and it was where it's supposed to be. It was actually higher in the sky than what I reported on about at least a week, maybe 10 days ago on Milky Way Weekly. I made a statement also in the chat and also on the live stream that we did that Mars was too low in the sky. It's back where it's supposed to be. That means Neptune and Uranus and Pluto, they're all back up where they're supposed to be. I checked out Pleiades. It's straight up overhead, exactly where it's supposed to be. Orion, it's coming up in the east. It looks beautiful tonight from down here. It's exactly where it's supposed to be. From all of my memories over all the years, oh my God, everything's back to normal. Now, so I just invite you to go outside and look and check. But if you haven't been noticing where everything has been or not been, a lot of people aren't going to pick up on these observations. But what is very interesting is if the moon is back where it's supposed to be, that means the Earth wobble is already stable. simply because now it's been cloudy and I haven't been able to check the stars every night. But a few nights ago, when it was clear enough, I could see Pleiades and Orion. They were pretty much where they were supposed to be. They looked a little low to the south. Tonight is like they're like straight up overhead. So we're 24,000 miles around, traveling at 1,000 miles an hour, spinning. And if you put the moon back where it's supposed to be, it would take a little while for things to kind of, quit doing the wobble thingy. I think we're stabilized. I think things have already stabilized because it looks like, from all intents and purposes, something's happened to the moon. Now, whether you or not you wish to believe that ET fixed it, well, I reported last week. Y'all take it. Here we go. So this is a week later that I'm updating this, and it hasn't been this stable in at least 2 years. In all the videos and everything that I've been making, I have not seen the moon this stable in 2 years. Every 3 or 4 days, it's a different place in the sky. Not this last week. Did ET fix it? Somebody did. Is it our good prayers and our good intentions that helped? But there's much more going on, and I'm all I can say is here's the observations. I have begged folks, go out and look for yourselves, and see if you see the difference. And other people are like, well, I'm not quite sure. Well, go out and look. Um, put drive 2 pieces of wood in the ground, or pick one location where you stand every time. Put a rock down. I don't care. Put an X. Put some tape down. Just pick the edge of your patio, whatever it might be, and then pick a place on the horizon, a tree, the top of your fence, something like that, and use it as a sighting position. That's what you do it in mapping as a Boy Scouts. I learned how to do that way back in the 60s. How to pinpoint where you are, take a compass reading of what bearing, and then look off in the distance and pick a mark. If it was the top of a tree, and growing up in Florida, you had to use trees. So you would go to a really tall pine tree. When you'd get there, you'd take another bearing with your compass, look for something to mark it with, another big pine tree, and you'd go until you reach that pine tree. So my observations have been literal. I've been using my little protractor here and my string to be able to gauge what changes have taken place as far as degrees in the sky. And I'm here to tell you, from last week to last Monday, Tuesday, the moon has moved at least 25 to 30 degrees from where it was low in the sky to overhead now, where it's supposed to be. So I'm saying thumbs up. Now, I wished I could prove that it was ET, but I reported it as ET said they fixed the moon, and I've been complaining about the moon. So I'm drawing conclusions in here. And so this is my hypothetical, but my observations are also showing some bitch. It looks like something happened to the moon, because now it's being consistent. Now the earth is stabilized, because now every night, it's been cloudy the last 2 nights, but 3 nights ago, I could see some of the stars. Everything looks back to normal. Now, have we switched timelines? Did somehow, because it almost feels like we're in a loop. And I say that because, and I mean this with the utmost of respect to folks, it seems like everybody's back on this Planet X, Nibiru, we're all going to die syndrome again. And I'm like, gang, look at the Schumann resonance, which I reported on the other night. Now several other channels are like, ooh, look, with the Schumann resonance. Yeah, I know. I pay attention to it every day. And I try to keep you all appraised of this situation. I can't show the chart because of this program issue I have with my little Chromebook, but at least I can give you, hey guys, check it out. I'm reporting today that Schumann's up, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm now, folks are like a week behind me. They're several days behind me in some of their reporting. And it's like, but they're starting to catch on. Oh, I don't know if they're listening to my channel on the side, which is fine, but I don't hear many other people talking about the Schumann resonance. Of all the channels and things, everybody will throw it in every once in a while, But I've been telling folks for a long time, this is affecting us on a grand scale. So please pay attention. Now, these are angel messages, ET messages, however you want to look at it. And I'm just thinking it just seems natural as to what's going on. And some of the prophecies, some of the other things, okie dokie. But just look within yourself. Look at some of the crazy things that are going on with people right now, and just realize, oh my God, these energies and our magnetic, our magnetosphere around the Earth and other things that are directly related to us, the sun, and all the other planets through the electric universe. Wallace Thornhill, check it out if you haven't, please, because it's going to make more sense if you understand how they realize that the universe is attached, not simply by gravity, but by electromechanical means. And so when you start understanding some of these different things, and I've had these pictures in my mind for a long time, and I've discussed it as a spider web in space, the great Mandela and the spokes on the Mandela, that we're all connected and everything's, charged. And, so there've been different ways for me to try to describe it. But then when the electric universe folks started coming out and explaining it even more and showing some of these links with spider web kinds of things, there are pictures of this now and the nebula and how, what? There you go. There's the proof. It's the proof that there's more to this universe than they can understand. And so some of this silly science that I keep talking about and help trying to explain folks is to look, they're coming out with this other thing that did another lander just land on Mars? And I'm thinking to myself, are those really the real pictures? How much can we actually trust NASA? Well, some of these things, you can actually see through a good telescope. I've seen the Horsehead Nebula through a good telescope. I've seen other things with a telescope with my own eyes, and I can verify that these things exist. Now, I don't have deep space photographs, and can I believe that, some of these pictures that NASA throws at us? Well, in some of my observations with a deep space telescope, those few times I've had the opportunity, I was able to view certain things, and the Horsehead Nebula looks like the pictures, okay? Even though it was fainter and smaller, it looked like it, And so it's like, okay, rings around Saturn. Well, okay, I've seen the rings around Saturn with my own telescope. So it's like, all right, so there are things that I can verify myself as being, that's what it looks like. But there are other things when they say, well, this photo has been rendered. I don't know what they did to it. What did they take out of it? There's evidence, for example, that a couple of years ago, and I kind of stated this in some other videos, that ET put some motherships in the rings around Saturn and also around Jupiter. And if we looked hard enough, there's probably a couple around, Neptune and Uranus. And it's like, okay, now there's some like pictures that are coming out of that they kind of didn't show the public when whatever that satellite was that went by Saturn a few years back. And that, oh my God, we saw the pictures before they got scrubbed. And you could clearly tell there were like these really long, humongous cigar-shaped objects in the rings of Saturn. It looked like a debris field in places. And then all of a sudden you couldn't get your hands on those pictures anymore. And it was like, what? I remember seeing those. And now they're saying, well, I remember seeing those pictures. But as soon as folks started seeing other things in the rings around Saturn, they quietly those pictures aren't you. There are other things and there are renderings of, but they've taken those items out. So it's like, but I remember seeing them, before they got their scrubbers into it. They didn't know they were there. What a surprise. So can I say that ET fixed the moon? Well, there's been so much other observation, but my discussion about why are there more moons around Jupiter? If gravity is such, okay, it's pulling in other objects, but why did 7 leave last year and haven't come back? How do rocks leave the orbit of Jupiter? They would have seen a crash, a bang, a boom. They'd have seen things sparks fly, something would have showed up if these things were somewhere otherwise taken out of orbit from Jupiter, the biggest planet in our solar system, and it loses 7 moons. Can we say ET spacecraft? That explains it to me. What's everybody taking photos of? These big orbs and things, and there are spaceships who are creating straight line shadow boxes in the sky. People are taking pictures of these spaceships in the clouds. Several years ago, and I've been reporting on it myself, that ET's been saying we're going to show ourselves in the clouds. And one could even say that that's actually a prophecy out of the Bible, that, Jesus would come or blah, 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 and he would be riding in on the clouds. So it's like, look to the heavens. Guess what? So I just wanted to make an observation and kind of make it clear to everybody. The moon is more stable in my observations now than in 2.5 years. I'm proud to say I can't prove ET did it, but I got to say, ET said it last week, and so far it's correct. That's just me. I'm just reporting, but my observations tell me, oh, holy shit. Did they really fix it? Did they really? Oh my God, that some bitch is in the same place. Oh my God. That's the other side of me. I'm standing out in the yard, jumping up and down, going, yippee, the moon's in the same place. Yay. I even celebrated with some of my favorite blackberry liqueur, had a shot of this for the holidays, if you will, and a little celebration. I don't drink very much anymore, like a shot every 3 or 4 months, maybe, and special occasions. So I had a shot of liquor tonight, and I'm a little high because I've seen the moon is in the right place. Oh my God, that's good news. Now, the next other thing would be to see whether or not the jet streams, the next other, which I'm going to be observing more closely now. There was no reason for me to keep up with the jet stream before, because the moon and the earth was wobbling around so much, the jet streams couldn't keep up. And we've all seen them. They're dipping down in the Pacific. They're going up into the Arctic. They're coming down around Mexico and up through Florida. I mean, it's been nutso. Now, if the planet has stabilized and the moon is back to where it's supposed to be, then the next other thing to settle down should be the jet streams. The next other thing after the jet stream, because the air is a whole lot easier to control than water, but the next other thing that will change will be the Gulf Stream should pick back up again. Now, it's really clogged with a bunch of crap, but if the moon isn't wobbling all over the place, then it will allow the ocean's currents to get back to a more normal. That's going to be that's last in line, because there's so much mass with the water in the oceans. So it's going to take a little longer for things to settle down there. But in the meantime, the magma's already on the move. Now, the earth wobbling is not going, or not wobbling, depending on how you want to look at this, is not going to stop the magma, because that's coming in from the cosmos. All right. That's coming from, we're going through it. Okay. You've heard my discussion on that before. But with that said, because we're going through another section in the universe, and we are picking up these extra waves, and like yesterday, oh my God, the Schumann was like not just spiking, it was off the charts in the 50 range, where it's supposed to be 7.8, spiking once in a while. This was like 18 hours worth. One of these other channels took a photo of it and showed it and did a video of it. Wish I could share the photo, but I have them in my computer, and one of these days YouTube's going to allow me to go be able to show pictures and things again. But in the meantime, you can find the information, and yes, I have been reporting on it. And yeah, I'm trying to say, yeah, I'm one of the few people talking about it, but not to pat myself on the back. I'm humbled by the fact that the information I have received is so far proving right. Now, I continue to say there's not really a time thing on this, but I didn't think that the Earth would stabilize and quit wobbling as much as it has simply by putting the moon back for a week. And so far, oh my God, I'm really surprised at how well the Earth is doing right now. I mean, the stars are where they're supposed to be. I can go out and find them now. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, it's really, it's for somebody who's been studying the stars, for 60 years of my 66 years on this planet. I think to myself, and now things are back to normal in a week. We got to praise somebody. We got to give thanks to somebody. And I'm just saying, just send it out to the universe and thank you, Creator. Thank you, Source. Thank you, Mother Earth, for calming herself down. Oh, back to the magma. The magma is still going to be rolling because of the extra energies. And this big energy swoop we got the last 2 days is going to, it already has thawed out some more magma. It was so high in frequency, there's no way that the Earth couldn't have melted some more rock, or at least made it more thin and more pliable, less viscous or more viscous. I forget which way. Anyway, the oil gets thinner and runs easier. There you go. But that's going to continue because of the cosmic energy and the magnetosphere being so shrunken right now. So we're still in for a ride. It ain't over. But the wobbling so far, knock on wood, so far it looks like the Earth is starting to stabilize already. I thought it would take at least a couple of weeks for things to settle down. Oh my God. I mean, what? In just a few days? Oh my God. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that was it. I can't prove. Now, I'll tell the story again in just little bits and pieces, basically. But I have speculated for a long time that there was some kind of not a centrifuge, wrong word. The spinning top thing. Why do I always have a problem with that word? Gyroscope. Thank you very much. A gyroscope. And that's what was keeping the moon in orbit where it wasn't moving all over the place. But when the ETs claimed that they had a fight on the backside of the moon and it destroyed part of the machinery and knocked it off balance, and that's why the moon's been wobbling. And so their gyroscope has been out on the moon, and that would explain why it's been wobbling back and forth this way. It would also explain its really weird, trajectory across the sky every night, coming up sort of in the east and maybe going setting in the southwest. We really couldn't plan on where the damn thing was going to set or whether the moon was going to be facing this way or upside down. Just really strange phenomena. But now, after this, I know it's only been a week, but there wasn't 4 days in a row before where the moon would be in the same place. It would be up or down or over here, maybe 2 nights in a row, really stretching it 3, but never 4. And this has been a week. I'm proud. We'll just have to keep our eye on. Oh, back to the gyroscope thing. If the ET did have a war, and they did have a battle on the backside because some bad guys were supposed to give up and they didn't. And so they just had to beat the hell out of them. And the bad guys on the planet, on the backside of the moon, lost. And that's what disrupted the machinery. So that's when the moon started going into its own wobble because they messed with the gyroscope. When they had the battle, the battle messed up the controls to the gyroscope. Something made it out of balance. So consequently, that is what started making the Earth go out of balance because that big old SOB out there being in the sun, nice SOB you are, son of a biscuit eater. There you go. Slightly omnipotent being. I don't know. SOB. I just had this weird thing flash through my head. But anyway, good evening to everybody. Marie, I see Quartz, Quantum, Breaking Dawn. Good to see you. Good. It is morning time now. It's 12:03. But so in thinking about the plasma gyroscope inside the moon, if they've knocked it off balance, that explains it all. And the fact that the moon's back and that the Earth is responding the way it has been, we'll see what else changes. Now I expect it's going to take a couple of months. That's sort of what my take is on this, because of other things in the solar system. Where all the planets, we're still on one side of the sun mostly at the moment, but in the next 6 weeks we're going to start getting out of the influence of these other planets for 6 months. And so with that said, things will really start settling down a little. Now, that doesn't mean that the magma is going to stop, because it depends on how long it takes for these high energies to come through our solar system. All right. Now, that could very well last for the next several years. Okay. That's what the general information is about that. So, but certain things are going to calm down because the moon was out of whack. And that was having an ill effect on the jet stream and the oceans. I mean, the moon is what delegates high tide. If she's out of wobble balance, well, ergo. But let's hope that everything starts settling down. It already seems like it has. So if you want to kind of test this for yourself, start keeping an eye on the jet streams on the radar weather, and see if there isn't a pattern that starts to settle down now, rather than being wacky all over the place. Just as an observation for yourself. I mean, we all look at the weather map. Let's see if these jet streams settle down. It used to be they'd come in out of Alaska and that away, and come in through Washington and Oregon, Northern California, and there'd be a front every 3 or 4 days this time of year. You could just about set your clock to it. You'd get rain 3 or 4 times a week. Little fronts would move through. That hasn't happened in so long. These last several days, I haven't remembered when it was like 10 days with mostly cloudy skies in a while. And the temperature, no solar heat in here at all, just the sun peeking out every once in a while. Same thing with the moon. So it's like, but nice and clear tonight. Temperature is supposed to plummet into the 30s. And so it's going to be downright chilly down here. Now, I noticed that up in Ohio, where a lot of my relatives are, and other folk too, but they're getting some good snow up there today, tonight, probably tomorrow, I guess, until that front moves through up there. But let's keep an eye on the weather patterns. Also, what's coming off the equator kind of thing. Now, Marie has reported from down under that it's been a rather chilly spring. Well, if the moon has had the effect it has, which I've been reporting on, then it would mean right now, because it's our winter, it's also the coldest time for Australia and south of the equator, because we're also the furthest away from the sun at this point. It's cold for us, but it will make their springs cool as well. And if the Earth has been out of wobble, then it's going to show up, down under as, ooh, cool spring, Plus, the sun has changed its temperature. I mean, when the sun was yellow a few years ago, when it came up, it didn't take much at all, sunshine in my windows, and my house heated up. The other day, it was perfectly blue skies outside, and I'm like, come on, sunshine. And I'm like, but the house didn't heat up. Whatever it is with the sun's rays coming in, and there's nothing blocking it. My house, I should have had to open a window, and I didn't. And I was like, well, now, what's up? The thing is the amount of the right amount of solar radiation coming into my passive solar house is not warming the house like it used to. Now, for the last 2 years, there's been a severe drop. It still gets warm in here, but 8 years ago, this time of year, the sun come up for 2 hours, my house would be steaming, and that just because of the sun. And it's not like that now. And I mean, the sun's been out there. Now, there has been a slight layer of the chemtrail, but even 5 or 6 years ago, before the sun turned blue, my house would still warm up better than it is right now. I mean, I just needed 2 hours and my house would warm up. And so it's like, So there are definitely some other changes. So I appreciate y'all being here. I think this is mostly good news, but I got to say that because of the changes in the sun, even with my passive solar house, which I have greatly relied upon over the years to not use any energy and keep my little butt warm, is I'm going to have to rethink this now because I'm just not. It's just not working like it used to, and it used to work just fine. So it's like, Now I still have a wood heater, and I still got it hooked up. I still got lumber, plenty of logs and things to burn, and so I'm not going to freeze to death. But that's not my point. I was relying a lot on not using my heater because it was passive solar, and now I'm going to well, it's just not working the way it used to. So I'm going to have to up my ante a little bit with the wood heater. Now I still use less than I used to as far as wood goes. Why spend all winter long chopping wood and you go in the house and you get and then it's cold again, you repeat, but anyway, I don't like a cold house, and I got a little heater running over here and beside me because we got no solar energy today. But to the point though, that's just because I had friends over and I haven't fired up the wood stove yet. But I'll be ready for tomorrow, good and thick. But we're going to have to adjust to what is going on. Are we going into a cold spell? I kind of think we are. It's just in the history that we do this up and down thing in the universe. It's going to get colder. Call it modern minimum, call it blah, 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 call it the Kali Yuga. If you want to give it a name, okay. We're just going through another phase. And these are natural changes. And because we're sitting on top of this planet, we're just going to have to adjust. And the more we bitch about it, it's just going to make it worse. But the thing is that, let's all keep our fingers crossed that the moon stays put. Because right now I'm absolutely and positively 100% sold on the fact that somebody had something to do with putting the moon where it's at right now. Because it sure hadn't been acting that way before. And and the planets also being in the same place where they're supposed to be, which means that both the moon and the earth have stabilized in their orbits and their wobble. All good news. Let's keep our proverbial fingers crossed. Something else before I leave you with this is that I'm still being told through angel messages and however you want to. I hate to use the word channeling, but it's more like downloads. It's to keep people and remember. I did an earlier video today about, the Xmas, the excuse, the Christmas time is an excuse. And it's like, we all have a free will. I indulged in a drink of my blackberry brandy tonight. Okay, so I used, it's Thanksgiving. Oh, I used that as an excuse. When actually my friends coming over at any time would have been a celebration to have a shot of that blackberry brandy. But I digress. I used the excuse of Thanksgiving. Oh, come on, have a shot with me for Thanksgiving. Okay, good excuse. So I even used it myself today. But the thing is that why do we want to supplement what we want and how it's going to make us feel? Or should we really concentrate on what's going to come after Christmas? If people spend and spend and spend and spend on stuff that is this shit really necessary syndrome? And I'm looking at some folks and family and friends on Facebook and other places, and I'm thinking to myself, you people have already gone nuts. And there's still a month to go. Oh my God, what are you people going to do in the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks? Oh my God. Okay. All right. And so I know they're in the holiday spirit. And my point is that I'm thinking that all these cell phones and all these apps and things are just dragging you right into it. I've seen friends and family dive into things before, but I just thought, I don't know, I just thought the folks had gotten a little bit more common sense about some of this stuff, but nope, they're going crazy. So it's like, for the rest of us, it's not like, should we not participate in this? It's your choice. If you know somebody and you think they really could use a gift or whatever, go get it for them. But what's your reason for doing it? I mean, well, I don't know. They expect it from me. Do they really? Have you ever listened to somebody after you get I remember some of my family, oh my God, look what such and such sent me. And then after Christmas, they go, what am I going to do with this thing? They end up giving it to the neighbor or they use it to feed a dog with. I don't know. But the thing is, like, sometimes what we think somebody else wants, they don't, they don't look at it that way at all. So it's our own endeavors and it's our own involvement in the Christmas thing, the Xmas thing, that, oh my God, I've got to send my aunt or something. Oh, well, I've sent her something every year. And yeah, but did she like any of them? Can you go to her house and find those presents? Now I used to buy, my dad a tie every year because he wore ties. And, a new tie once a year. After 12 years, you got a collection of 12 ties. So it's like, well, and it was one time a year where you could have a little bit of fun and like getting something a little flashier than what he might do. But when you have to wear a tie every day of the week, well, 5 days a week for your job, then having an assortment of ties, that makes sense. Buy somebody if somebody needs something, you want to get them something, at least buy them something practical. Don't buy them something frivolous. Oh my God, the perfume! I remember there was a time when perfume was like the thing to get ladies. And my grandma, one time, I got her some perfume and she looked at me and she goes, David, I love you, my grandson, but where do you think I'm going to wear this perfume? And I was like, but Granny, I thought about you and it smells really good. She goes, David, I love you, but where do you think I'm going to wear this perfume? And it was rather expensive even back then. But Grandma, she said, David, where do you think I'm good? And by the third time, I was like, oh, it's so, oh my God, it was almost tourish. And here was my 68-year-old grandmother, and I'm giving her something that, basically is floozy-ish, where she was the old country and just like plain rose water, simple perfumes. So I got her something that was exotic. And so in her mind, it was like, what, you expect me to put this perfume on and go stand on the street corner? So that's sort of what she was implying in a nice way. Where do you think I'm going to wear this? Like, good question, Grandma. So she ended up giving it to a niece or something. Not that my niece went and sold on the street corner. That wasn't the point. But it was that it was more appropriate. So sometimes when we think we've got the best present ever, and we're sending it with our good intentions because we feel guilty or otherwise compelled, do they really need it? Oh, damn it. I got another freaking coffee pot. Oh, they. Okay, get them some coffee then. Buy them some coffee beans, you know? Get it. If they like liqueur or something, then buy an imported bottle of a really nice wine or a liqueur or something, a special occasion thing. At least they could enjoy it versus, oh, look, I got you a plate for your collection. Every year, our family, there was this, we had somehow concocted this because my sister had saved a couple of sets of salt shakers. Somehow my family got it in their heads that my sister collected salt shakers. Well, so then everybody started buying my sister salt shakers. Well, then as the story was told by my sister, she goes, David, she goes, I don't know where everybody got this idea that I like these salt shakers. She goes, but after everybody kept sending me salt shakers, I felt compelled to make a cabinet for them and display them because y'all sent them to me. She goes, I wasn't really collecting them. I was just collecting these two sets. And so, but the rest of the family, by the time it was done, I don't know, she had 30 sets of different kinds of salt and pepper shakers. And it was like, she goes, but I didn't really want that. Oh, so, but then she felt guilty if she got rid of them. So it had to do with her moving south. She was like, I'm sorry, everybody, but I had to get rid of my collection of salt and pepper shakers. When the truth came out, she was like, thank God, because I didn't realize you all were going to start giving me sets of, every Christmas, you get 6 or 7 different sets of salt and pepper shakers. And it was useless. We all thought we were doing her a favor. when actually we was creating a burden for the poor lady. I'm like, oh my God. So we don't, we need to be sure of things before we think we're doing the right thing. Just say it. Oh, I want to send them this. Yeah, but do they need it? Do they want it? You want to send it. Your intentions are good, but is it really appropriate? So just be calm, use your heads. Don't just fly off the handle with something. If you got to, then let it slip. Say, listen, call the person. I was wondering, could you ever use a something, 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 something? Maybe you want. Well, I saw this really cool 3D printer. About you talked about it one time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh well, okay. So then you kind of you didn't tell somebody you were going to get them a 3D printer or whatever, but you put something in their head. It's like, well, no, Frank, actually, I think that's a dumbass idea and I would never have one. Don't have any place to put it. That should tell you don't get somebody something when they say, I should. I got two of them on my bench right now. I don't need a third one, Okay. So, but you have to realize in certain circumstances, it's like maybe what I think is good for these folks is a dumbass idea in the long run. So, but your intentions are good. I know I've sent people things over the years, that little blips are coming back into my brain while like I gave this present to a certain person. They were like, and I went outside to have a smoke and I could hear them through the kitchen. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with this? David made this big ass pillow for me. What am I going to do with it? Come to find out the dog slept on it. But at least I loved the dog. And, I'd made pillows. Had been in the hospital. I had my leg broken and it was in a cast for a year. I was on crutches and couldn't do anything. And my granny taught me how to sew at the sweet age of 15 or 16. And so I got material and things and I made everybody pillows for Christmas. And I worked hard on them damn things. And this one particular one of my aunts or whatever, at the time, she was like, well, she kept saying, I wished I had this big pillow. I wished I had this big pillow. And so it was like, okay, so I made her a big pillow. And then what'd she do? Well, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this big pillow. And I was like, but then she put her dog on it and the dog was happy. So I was happy too, and my aunt was like, well, does it fit on the couch? Well, she put it on the couch and then the dog sat on it. So it kind of worked out. It was a humorous time, but at the point, I kind of checked with everybody ahead of time, well, would you like, pillows on the couch here? I'd let little things drop and people kind of knew I was making Christmas presents that year because I was laid up with a broke leg and all. And so they kind of expected something, but I was, I picked out material that matched the sofas. And I really went out of my way. But anyway, to that point, even though I went to all of the research I could to try to make all of these family members happy with coordinating colors and things with pillows, there may have been, out of 10 pillows I made, maybe 3 of them were actually used. Okay, 4, the one for the dog. But my point is like, I put a lot of work into them things. Well, Dave made me for this and it, gets tossed in the back room or something. Or you go over one time and you find that pillow that you sweated for 4 days to make for him up on the top shelf in the garage. Oh, that's right. That's that pillow. Well, it never quite fit and I was like, okay, I ain't making you shit next time for, okay. But it taught me a great lesson in that with all the best of intentions, and they were like, well, David made it, but I don't really like it. Even though I thought I checked with them ahead of time, anyway. But with that said, though, I just wanted to give a quick breaking down. Hello, Quartz. Hi, Deborah. Do something they would never imagine to do and get them off the moon. Yeah, that's right. Thus, the water level going down will come back. Breaking Dawn, I hope so. We'll see. That's going to be that's a lot of water that's jiggling around in the wrong direction. So we're just going to, they tell me that's going to be the last thing that settles down, that the winds will start calming down. The jet streams will start calming down first, but because the jet streams relate with some of these ocean currents, It's you'll see the ocean currents start to change, and then the pattern will evolve as the ocean currents change. So will the clouds and the jet streams again. We'll see. That don't mean we're not going to have some deep dips and stuff, but because there are other factors that create air currents and change the directions of some of these jet streams. But we can all agree that for the last 2.5, 3 years, everything's been so out of whack. It's been just crazy. So we'll just keep an eye on this stuff and see how it goes. I'm really tickled to death at the result so far. I mean, I'm gonna go back outside here several times through this night and in the morning time, checking out what's going on and kind of bundling things up. We're supposed to have a light freeze coming up here in the next couple of days. I got a couple of things I need to take care of, and I can't think of a better thing to do than, yep, the magnetics are changing. Absolutely, Dawn. Uh, but that's because of the high dense charged particles that we're passing through right now, like that big shock wave we got hit with yesterday in the Schumann resonance. Oh my God, that thing was off the charts. Oh wow. We should all be feeling the effects of this for several days. What happened yesterday? Actually, let's see, yesterday was Sunday. It was late Saturday and Sunday, and it's calmed down at the moment. But yeah, so the magma is going to keep flowing. The earthquakes are going to keep happening. The earth is still expanding. So there are certain things that the moon being back in place will settle some things down, but it should calm things down enough that where the rest of it won't be quite as nasty, maybe, first things first, as they say. So let's just keep an eye on it all. I want to go get some more coffee and, yeah, go check the moon. I'm excited about it. So anyway, let me end with a prayer, and in hopes that everybody stays out of this panic mode. I know that the Nibiru thing is back again and we're all going to die. And I'm like, I'm trying to give you good news here. The moon's back. And I just don't think ET is going to let us roll over and kill us all. I mean, I just don't think so. But, anything's possible, like the moon being put back. Let's focus on the good things. And that's one of the things ET keeps saying. We need to get out of the backwards stuff in the Bible and so forth. Yep, we're in apocalypse, but we need to focus on is what is coming in front of us, the golden age. And I'm going to do a video on this separately from this one. And I might come back on in the next 20, 30 minutes after I take a break and do it. But it has to do with, can we really be equal? And people need to have that discussion. And I want to have that on a separate video. But to just kind of tag this video here, we all absolutely need to rethink about equality, because there's so many folks out there right now, and it's like, well, the folks in the country of India, well, they've got the caste system, and you don't cross over the tracks. And I mean, it's like, what? I mean, in a lot of ways, it's still slavery in this day and age. Can this planet truly look at each other equally? Now, that's for another discussion. So, y'all, we are the golden age. We absolutely. Deborah, about time to have another late night chit chat again, just for the hell of it. But I guess I'm already doing that here. So, but that's great. So with love I send to you and cosmic hugs always, let me end with a good prayer with y'all. For you, your friends, your family, and all of your relations, and to all of your relatives and so forth. I hope that you will accept and receive the blessings from the source and from Creator, and that you will continue to have faith in yourself, continue to have faith in the source of everything, continue to fine tune your cosmic radio and keep tuning into the quantum, because all of this is available to each one of us every day. So with that, I say blessings. We are like the egg and the universe is the chicken. Kind of, sort of. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Maybe it wasn't a chicken that laid the egg. Who knows? But anyway, so with that, got to take a break and do a few things, go check on the moon. And the way I feel right now, I might come back on here and do that other video about equality, because these new age folks, they really need to pay attention to that, because I don't know, for some reason it seems like, oh yeah, we're all together, but we ain't. And we need to all be together. Whether you like the other person or not, it doesn't matter. We're going to have to look at each other as being equal, not as equality in what we can do against each other, but what each individual can do for another person without trying to anyway. But see, that's for that's called a stringer right there. I'm going to string you along to come back to the next show. See you later. Much love. Hugs to everybody. Be kind, be sweet, and be aware, and always stay with your core value. Till next time.